welcome to Biz Today. I am Nazareen Ebrahim. As you know, every week we bring you successful entrepreneurs into studio, or we find experts to talk to us about trending topics. And this is the format of the show, and I know you're familiar with it by now. But this week we've got a success story in studio. I'm so happy we managed to secure him to get into studio. He's Nkosenhle Hlophe, founder of Kinako Multimedia, and he's done award-winning work for various number of channels. His vision is to be the leading ad video production company in the country. Now, that's a great dream to have, and as entrepreneurs, our dreams are what drives us. He's also gone through an incubation program, and we're going to look at that and that experience of how it helped him shape his business. So if you want to inspire your own story, but also understand particular lessons and how to address your challenges, then please don't miss his story. Stay tuned. Nkosenhle Hlophe, welcome to Biz Today. It's wonderful to have you in studio.
Thank you so much for having me. It's going to be a great experience.
I think so. I heard about your story recently and why you're our success story of the week. As an entrepreneur, the journey is never easy. We entrepreneurs know that, and your story just has all the tenets of the success story that has all the building blocks of just hard work behind it. You run Kinako Multimedia. You've been producing award-winning work, and you've also been part of an entrepreneurship building program that helped you take your business to the next level. But where did it all start for Nkosenhle?
You started very well. It's before you enter entrepreneurship, it's very glamorized, like
right.
An entrepreneur. And even the term sounds fancy, entrepreneur. It sounds very cool. But when you are doing it, it takes a lot of work, and it's got every aspect of life, as you say. They've got the lows, they've got the highs. There's, as much as there are achievements, I think to every one achievement, there's like 5 failures. Exactly. Because for you to actually achieve something, you have to do a couple of trials and errors. So it's been a very life-rewarding journey for me. I've learned a lot. I think I've learned being an entrepreneur more than I did on my university degree, because this is real life. I'm there doing it. And I think being there on the ground doing it is the best teacher than studying it at a university, I think. So you asked me when it all started. I started in 2010, actually.
So 7 years into the grind of being an entrepreneur.
7 years in the jungle. Yes.
But what's so interesting is you started out as a geologist, am I right in saying that?
Yes. So
and gone into multimedia. This is a very interesting story. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So I'm a geologist. I'm a qualified engineering geologist. Got a BSc from Nkosenhle.
Right.
And I worked as a geologist for about 3.5 years. And then in 2010, I resigned to sort of start Kinako Multimedia. I think for me, it was just a story of passion versus security. I just wanted to extend my horizon. I wanted to challenge myself more. I felt less challenged at what I was doing as a geologist. I was doing the same thing every day. I had a roof, not literally, but in terms of there was a limit on how far I could go. I had guidance. It was just safe. And I've never been a safe person, At high school, I did very well. I achieved a lot. And I always thought there's something great for me in my life to do. So I felt that as a geologist, I got stuck in a way. So I was like, I need to do something. I need to challenge myself. I need to chase the best of me in a way. So that's basically why I resigned. And then I started Kinako Multimedia. And when it started 7 years ago, it was purely a wedding company. We're just shooting weddings. That's all we're doing. So we put screens on weddings and do videography and photography. And for about 3 years before we started venturing into corporate. So that's basically how it started. I started Kinako Multimedia. And interesting enough is, people always laugh at this, that the first time I touched a computer was in varsity.
Same here. Well, probably in matric, but we didn't even use the internet properly.
Yes.
I used Paint, I think, and then went to university and I was like, here's the internet.
So yeah, I loved computers. So the first time I started the computer, I was like, so you can imagine, I'm sure we've got the same journey there, because it's just fascinating, We're like, I've got the whole world in my... So I had this fascination over computers. Then a friend of mine and I, we discovered this, not discovered, but there was this program called Nero, where you can bend DVDs into slideshows.
Yes.
So this actually started while I was in university. So on holidays, I would go home and collect neighbors' wedding photos and family photos and convert them into slideshows and sell that for 100 rand. While I was still in university, I was the richest kid in my home because 1,000 rand.
Of course.
That's a lot of money.
That was a lot of money in the early 2000s.
Exactly. I didn't have any expenses. I didn't have any expenses. So that's basically how it started. Then I went back to varsity. So I'd do it on June holidays and December holidays and then come back to varsity and take a break. But when I started working as a geologist, then I stopped. Then I worked as a geologist because I had to focus to say I had to give this geology thing a chance. And when it didn't work for me, then I was like, okay, what can I do? Do I musician? Do I go into soccer? Whatever. What do I do? And then the first thing we did was to go back to what we did in university. We're like, hey, let's do our slides, but let's do it better now. Let's go to events and put projector screens and do this thing there. So we did that, and for about a year. For a couple of months, and it grew in me. I was like, I could actually do this, And so we started together with Sbu, and then he left to pursue his engineering qualification in Johannesburg. Then I stayed here. Then I formalized everything, gave the name, registered, and then I ran with it.
So you know what I love about the story is that you already had entrepreneurial tendencies while you were studying. So as a young person, and we understand the rate of unemployment with graduates in the country. We understand that when people leave school and they have to go out to university, they may not always be thinking entrepreneurially, but I would like viewers to take away that one lesson. So that's the first lesson we take away from it, is the ability to be entrepreneurial no matter whatever phase you are in your life. And then obviously went into geology and jumped back into entrepreneurship. And I've met your wonderful wife, Gugu, and you've got a beautiful family. So my thinking would be, and I know many other entrepreneurs would think this, how did you balance the family decision, having a family and leaving the security of full-time employment and going into running your own business? Because I imagine for many people that's a big question.
I think that's one of the biggest decisions I've ever made, to leave security, to leave a job, a qualification that I studied for. To tell you the truth, my sisters cried when I went home and I told them that I'm going solo now. That's what I said. I'm going solo now. I'm studying something else. And they were like, what? And I'm like, I'm going to be shooting weddings. They thought I was crazy. And it took a couple of years when they saw things happening. This guy is actually serious, So it was the biggest decision at that time. But as you mentioned, Uku, I think if I was on my own, I would have delayed it. But she's always been there. So she had a formal employment. So because they were rough months, so she would at least support me. So I think when you jump, you can't have a green light. Like you can't have green lights before you jump. But at least there must be someone to support you, or a family, because it gets rough, not only financially, emotionally as well, someone to sort of say, hey, you said you wanted to do this, because sometimes when it gets stuck, you sort of doubt yourself, so you need that one person. And Ukuku's been there since, because we met in university, so she's been there every step of the way, and she's one person when I'm like, this is not happening, and she's like, no, just try more, why you try this. So she's always been there. And my family as well, when they realized that it's sort of moving, then they jumped on board as well, and they supported me and my friends. I've got friends that have been with me since the beginning of this journey, even financially. I've got people that you can even say, guys, this month it's not really. We've got people that even take overdrafts, that take credit cards just to support you. So it's as much as I'm the only one who's on the ground, but you need support. You need a strong support system if you need to venture into entrepreneurship. Not that if you've got no one, you can't do it. I'm just sharing my journey. That Ukuku was there at the forefront. My sisters were there. supporting me. But I also had my friends. Abu, as a small Usbu that I mentioned, when he was working, he used to support me. We used to have long calls. I've got another friend of mine, small. They've been financially and emotionally supporting me. To say, dude, you are there. You said you wanted to do this. Just stay there. Just do it. You can do it. Because there have been times where I'm like, guys, I'm qualified as a geologist.
I think so many people watching right now will identify with exactly what you're saying about the journey of an entrepreneur being one that's almost gut-wrenching at times. You are putting in your heart and soul into building a vision you can see at just any one point in time, and until it becomes a success and people think you're an overnight success, but actually you're not. It's been years and years of work. You're putting it all in, and sometimes it just doesn't make sense. You would rather go back to full-time employment, but we don't.
Yeah, no, we don't. No, we don't. No, we don't. I think one thing that helps in staying on the course is knowing where you're going. I think most of the time where it's really rough, when clients are not paying, or when selling, or the sales are not, when I'm not meeting my targets, or when all the cars just break down or have accident at the same time. I think one thing that keeps me going is I know where I'm going. You know, I've never lost sight of where I'm going. I know what I want to do. I know what I'm capable of doing. I know where this business is going. So when it gets rough, I just go back to that picture that I painted 7 years ago when I started Kinako Multimedia as a wedding company. But my dream has always been to do adverts, TV commercials. As I shared with you the other day, that is why late last year we were like, it's time we branch to Johannesburg, because if we want to follow our vision, if we want to follow what we want to do as a company,
you've got to extend yourself.
We have to extend ourselves. Yes, and Johannesburg is like the media hub of South Africa. So why don't go and play with the big boys? So even that hasn't been easy, because when you branch to a new city, a new province, you need new resources, you need new stuff. So without funding, self-funded, it hasn't been easy. But
exactly. It's never an easy journey. So I like that we talked a lot about the emotional investment into the business. When we come back from the break, we're going to be talking to Nkosenhle about the actual nitty-gritty of the business, the award-winning work he's done, and plans coming up for the future. Stay tuned.